And it's another Tuesday night. G'day, Ben. How's it going?
Good, mate. Going very well.
Mate, you're looking exactly like you did on the show on Monday.
Well, no one knows that except for you because the show wasn't on video. But thank you for saying. It's life in lockdown means you can wear the same clothes multiple days, and no one's got anything to say. I mean, we're not even in lockdown anymore. But I realized once lockdown ended and I could finally leave the house and go wherever I wanted, that I had nowhere I wanted to go. And quite happy just wearing the same polo shirt. Admittedly, I am like Batman. I do have 5 of exactly the same. Like Einstein. You don't have to. It's one less thing I have to think about every day.
Well, this is the Tuesday night video, and do you see what I just did then? Did you see what I just did then? I looked over my computer for my camera where I normally look at, and it wasn't there, and I got spun out. I'm like,
funnily enough, I was looking at myself, so I didn't
notice. You didn't even know there was a video component to my side of this show?
No, I'm just looking at my side. I'm going, yep, my eyeline's good because I'm looking right at me.
So we decided to talk about Walter Matthau movies. What do
you reckon it is? I mean, it's because it's 2 T's and a H.
I've always said Walter Matthau. I mean, Matthew has 2 T's.
Yeah. It doesn't. I guess
we need to look up interviews in Parkinson or something.
I mean, yeah, or just go to. Was it Wikipedia used to have the pronunciation?
Yeah, I'm going to just go with Matthau when I talk about him.
Yeah,
we decided to talk about him because we coincidentally almost talked about a film of his each on the show, and I at the last minute changed it to something else.
Bad Day at Black Rock.
Fantastic damn film. Straight. So I'm just going to jump in. I was going to talk about The Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3, which I think is a fantastic film. Joseph Sargent directed that one, and I think Robert Shaw was in that. And I remember
Marty Balsam.
A very young Hector Elizondo.
Yeah.
He's like, was he Mr. Brown? I think. I don't know.
I can't remember who. Yeah, I can't remember who they kind of were. I remember.
But this is where Tarantino got his Mr. Colors from.
Yeah, and like funny enough, that's what I was going to say. I forgot to mention it when I was talking about Charlie Varick, but that's where they got the president. When they robbed the bank, they're all wearing president's masks, which is where they got it from Point Break.
Point Break. Yeah,
the
influences are there. But Taking of Pelham. 1974. Obviously, it's a hostage movie on a train. It's kind of like a Die Hard kind of movie. But there's a thing that goes through the entire movie with a sneeze. There's always a sneeze that's happening in this movie, and that is kind of integral to the conclusion of the movie. And to me, when I watch it, even when I watched it for the first time when I was probably in my early 20s, that was so obvious to me. It's like, well, hello. Like, all I've got to do is pay attention to that. But back then, it was like really clever.
Yeah.
And I can't remember, did they continue that motive in the remake with John Travolta?
Yeah, look, that's the thing. I've never had the desire to watch the remake because I love Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Look, it's quite good. It's quite good. And it's a Tony Scott film, so you know exactly what it's going to feel like.
I mean, my problem with it is 100% in John Travolta, because when you watch the original, it's Martin Balsam I'm pretty sure it's Martin Balsam is the main.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
It is.
Yeah, in it, and he's like an ordinary guy. That's why the ending works, because he could have just been one of the passengers on the plane. Like, he looks like an accountant.
Yeah,
kind of thing. Whereas in all of the trailers for the remake, like John Travolta, he might as well have had "I am the villain" tattooed on the back of his head. Like, it's just so outrageously obvious that that he is a kind of a bad guy.
It is a different film to the original. It's much more polarizing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I do really like I've really come to recently appreciate Denzel Washington in movies. Like, I've gone back and I've watched stuff like Devil in a Blue Dress and Deja Vu and a couple of other things with him in it. So it's been on my list of like, I've got to get over the John Travolta thing and watch it, because it would 100% be a different film.
Isn't it funny that Tony Scott followed up that one up with the other train one. What was that one called?
Broken Arrow?
Unstoppable.
No.
Unstoppable.
No, that's,
Unstoppable. John Woo.
John Woo, yeah.
Unstoppable with Chris Pine and Denzel Washington about the train that's out of control.
Oh, yeah, right. What a completely forgettable film that was.
Yeah, but like from one train film to another, it's like he was taking a Pelham and just lost interest halfway through and thought, oh, there's another movie in this.
Yeah. I like trains.
What about for me, when I think of Walter Matthau, clearly I think of his latter career when he was sort of getting really stuck into the comedies. And I know that his comedy work, began in the 60s when you had like, the Odd Couple and things like that.
Yeah,
but I'm thinking
Jack Lemmon.
Yeah, so I'm thinking those latter ones, Grumpy Old Man, Grumpier Old Man, Dennis the Menace. That's where it's at. IQ. Oh my goodness.
The Couch Trip. The Couch Trip was a
was that with Dan Aykroyd?
Banger of a film, yeah. Dan Aykroyd.
Yes.
And
who was the chick in that? That's
Donna Dixon.
Dan Aykroyd's wife. And he was in a straitjacket on the cover, I think.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because he's the inmate of the psychiatric hospital.
Yes.
And Dan Aykroyd comes to, I think is he a visiting shrink?
I think so. It's been a long time.
But no one there knows who he is. And so Walter Matthau somehow bamboozles him and gets him into the straitjacket and switches places with him.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes out on the town pretending to be this acclaimed psychiatrist who's just written this book or whatever, while Dan Aykroyd is very similar to kind of Trading Places.
Yeah,
Dan Aykroyd is stuck in the mental hospital and no one believes that he's not.
That's right.
That he's who he says he is.
One I've wanted to go back to but haven't is Survivors with Robin Williams. I haven't seen that in a long time, and from memory, it's got a very bad reputation. But I do want to go back to it.
It's no Moscow on the Hudson. I'll say that. Robin Williams' finest, one of Robin Williams' finest films. But
I did love him as Mr. Wilson in Dennis the Menace. I think that was a great film. I mean, you talking about Curly Sue in the show on Monday. Dennis the Menace, another John Hughes connection there. His Mr. Wilson was amazing.
Yeah. And I remember being surprised when that film was made because I was watching, I think the ABC at the time were playing the Dennis the Menace cartoons.
Yep.
And I remember thinking like, who? Like I felt like they were like a cartoon from a bygone era. It was like Peanuts. I'm like, I know that the idea of making movies using IPs is to like because they've got a built-in audience, but I'm like, but they don't really because the target audience for Dennis the Menace are kids. Yeah. And what their parents, it's like, but the parents are the built-in audience who. Well, how do you?
Fortunately, this one worked for them, but the same cannot be said for the Leave It to Beaver movie or even the Flipper movie. Like, they made these things 30 years after the fact, where the target audience is, like you said,
it was like
parental.
Underdog and all that kind of stuff. You're like, I don't know. Like Underdog was a cartoon before I was a kid. Like it was like my parents kind of had Underdog.
But they're still pumping out movies like that where I guess they attach themselves with a new audience and. That new audience is none the wiser.
Well, when are they making the Hong Kong Phooey movie? That's my question. I thought, as you talked about, was it last week or the week before? I thought the Banana Splits movie.
Yeah,
that was a great idea. That was.
Imagine Dennis the Menace as a horror film.
How awesome would that be? Like a creepy,
like cross with the Good Son
type thing.
It's like the Good
Dennis
Son
breaks into Mr. Wilson's house.
Yeah.
He's got like Mrs. Wilson is tied up in the basement.
Yes, because they kind of like turned Home Alone into a horror when they did that Better Watch Out movie and like The Collector and things like that. Yeah, it could work. Trying to think of more Walter Matthau movies. There's so many.
Have you seen Hopscotch?
Hopscotch? Did you say?
Hopscotch, yeah.
No.
Hopscotch. And there's another one I cannot recommend highly enough. It is a great Walter Matthau movie, and he's the lead, and basically he's a CIA agent. He's like the head of the I think the Berlin desk.
Yep.
And at the start of the film, he meets up with Herbert Lom. He catches Herbert Lom, and Herbert Lom is the his kind of Russian counterpart.
Yeah.
And they're after some microfilm and all this kind of stuff happens, and he stops it. He gets the stuff off Herbert Lom and then lets him go. And word gets back to the United States where Ned Beatty has just become the head of the kind of operations branch of the CIA. And prior to that, he's like a member of the kind of dirty trick squad. He's like assassinations and stuff. So he's,
You're right.
Kind of a bit of a dodgy character anyway. But he's very much, he hates Walter Matthau. He thinks he's too old school and doesn't understand why he let him go. And Walter Matthau lets him go because he knows who he is. Like, he knows how he thinks. If he arrests Herbert Lom, they're going to replace him with someone who he doesn't know. It's going to take him 6 months to find out who it is. And it doesn't make any sense to do it. So he doesn't, but Ned Beatty doesn't understand that. So he basically threatens to force Walter Matthau into a desk job back in Thinger. So Walter Matthau basically quits. And when he quits, he steals his personnel file, and he kind of threatens, he then disappears and threatens to write his memoirs. And he taunts Ned Beatty through the film by sending him chapters of the book where he names names and reveals all these CIA kind of dirty tricks. And Sam Waterston is the guy who they replace Walter Matthau with, who's also kind of Walter Matthau's apprentice. And he literally runs rings around them, and he does all this kind of he does all this kind of great stuff. But it is an excellent film. Criterion have put it out on Blu-ray.
I might have to get that.
Definitely worth checking out. I don't want to give too much else away, but it's a very clever. It's a comedy. Glenda Jackson's in it,
cool.
As well. She's the female lead. It's a very clever kind of 3 Days of the Condor comedy.
I bet it doesn't hold a candle to The Odd Couple 2.
The Electric Boogaloo.
Hey, how do you think The Odd Couple 2 plays as a sequel? Do you buy it? Do you buy the fact that they are the same characters from the original?
Yeah, I mean, why would they still be living together? To be honest with you, I always get The Odd Couple and Grumpy Old Men mixed up, because I always thought that's what Grumpy Old Men was.
Grumpy Old Men plays much more as if it were a sequel. I think there's a lot more meat, on the bones of those two movies. They are great. Yeah. They should have gone for a third one. I wish they had done The Odd Couple 2 as Grumpy Old Men 3. That would have made a much better premise.
Yeah. And who do you prefer? Do you prefer Jack Lemmon and Walter Matthau, or do you prefer Tony Randall and Jack Klugman?
Oh no, the Walter Matthau the Lemon Matthau, yeah, for sure. And but maybe that's the legacy reason, like that they've made these other collaborations over the years that sort of hold true. I just loved the rapport they had. But you're right, the TV show definitely had some magic to it as well.
Yeah, I thought it was all very good. I have trouble with Grumpy Old Men and Grumpier Old Men, in that I can't tell which is one and which is two. Is Anne Margaret or Sophia Loren? Which is the
Anne Margaret's in both. Anne Margaret's in both of them, and the first movie is the one that is set in the snow. It's the winter one.
Yeah, but
and part 2 is the summer one.
In one of them, is it? I can't remember who hooks up with who, but in one of them,
Sophia Loren and Walter Matthau
in the first one, and then in the second one, Jack Lemmon hooks up with Anne Margaret. And then there's Out to Sea. Anne
Margaret's in the first one and hooks up with Lemmon.
Right.
And then Walter Matthau hooks up with Loren in the sequel.
And then there's Out to Sea, where they both hook up with Brent Spiner from Star Trek.
But don't forget Burgess Meredith hooks up with Sophia Loren's mother.
Yeah. Was it played by Estelle Getty?
No, but you'd know this woman's face. Don't know if you know her name, because I certainly don't, but she's popped up in a few things.
Is it in The Odd Couple? No, it's not in The Odd Couple 2. It's in
Grumpy Old Men 2.
Grumpy Old Men 2.
I'll just flash her name on the screen.
I'm gonna have a look.
Why not?
Who could it possibly be? Daryl Hannah? Is Daryl Hannah the?
Oh, that's right. Kevin Pollak and Daryl Hannah play the former lovers and the children of said.
I think it's Anne Morgan Gilbert.
Maybe. She looks like an Italian grandmother.
Yeah, she's the grandma from Jesus Christ. She's the grandma from The Nanny.
Oh, right. I
She's
love that you know that.
She's Yetta. Yetta from The Nanny.
And I'm sure she was younger than Sophia Loren.
Oh, yeah, it would have been one of those, like Estelle Getty being younger than B. Arthur in The Golden Girls.
Well, wasn't Estelle Getty the youngest of all the Golden Girls?
I'm not sure if she was younger than all. I actually don't know if she was younger than all of them. I know she was definitely younger than B. Arthur, but it is quite possible. I thought Rue McClanahan was the youngest of all of them.
We should probably not talk about the Golden Girls because the curse that lies upon this show.
Yeah. Aren't they all dead? There's only one left alive, and we won't mention her name.
No, we can't. I'm sure possibly.
The others are dead.
We can't possibly, unless you just want to have a bit of fun and
just tempt it. No, but I'm 100% like Rue McClanahan is definitely dead. B. Arthur is dead. Estelle Getty is dead.
We could test the curse.
No, let's not. Let's not take that chance.
Okay. Oh.
Not with Rose Nyland. I mentioned a character name that doesn't count.
Okay. Anyway, let's
Does it? I hope it doesn't.
Oh no. Well, we'll find out next week.
We may get some hate mail if it does turn out to be true.
Oh, this will be fun. We'll catch you on Thursday.
See you on Thursday.